is there a section of the ruling class that is worried about that treating the economy like that kind of fire sale, and that it will cause the kind of instability that Francesca was talking about at the top of the show? Or are they all just like, trying to get as much out as they can as quickly as possible? Are
Well, a
people
lot of
worried about it causing instability?
my main thesis about this rotten ruling class that we contend with is they just are so drunk on money and really short-term maximization of money
Right.
that they can't think in the long term. They're not like the ruling class in the mid-20th century, which had some discipline and some foresight about creating a kind of structure that would sustain their rule. It was not like they were humane and decent, but they had some level of discipline and responsibility and thoughts about the future. This gang is just a bunch of looters. And that's the dominant ethic in a lot of the ruling class. We're seeing some concerns. The Federal Reserve, for all its problems, is a fairly serious institution that's not yet completely corrupt. They do seem to be worried about issues about long-term systemic stability. They're showing some concern about climate, which a lot of bourgeois institutions are not showing much concern about. So there are corners of the elites that are concerned, but the bulk of them just want to let it rip right now. They don't give a shit, about the waters rising or forest burning down if there's money to be made.
Can I ask you more about the Great Resignation? You sort of mentioned that people have like go fuck yourself money. And I think that's been a talking point. You're almost sort of agreeing with some of the right wingers who are like, well, it's because people got, a little bit of stimulus and we gave them, a small check that they're able to refuse work. And that is a bad thing. Can you implode that myth that it is a bad thing to be able to walk away from work? Is it okay that there are menial jobs that are not getting filled right now?
Well, first on the unemployment insurance benefit issue, there's no evidence at all that actually stopped people from getting jobs. And if you look at the states that cut unemployment benefits early compared to those that didn't, they actually lagged in employment creation. A lot of them are really high COVID states too, by coincidence.
Right.
But it's the more vaccinated states are actually creating more jobs now than the less vaccinated ones. But the unemployment insurance that had almost very little effect on whether people were willing to take jobs. But on the other hand, the right is correct that if you give people money, it's often preferable to having a crappy job. Now, I think a lot of people really do want to work. They want to have a decent job. They want to feel like they're useful, that they're doing something that connects them to society, that they're producing something. An awful lot of people feel that way. But, if you're going to have to risk your life for minimum wage with no benefits, fuck that. Why should I do that? So they are correct that keeping, as the Brits say, people on their back foot is the best class relation that you could have. Alan Greenspan back in the 90s used to testify before Congress and say it quite openly. That's when the unemployment rate was about 4%. And he'd basically say, well, people are acting like the unemployment rate is 6 or 7%. And that's great. They're scared and they're not getting an attitude. And, if you read the minutes of the Federal Reserve's policy setting meetings, they are very aware of what's going on in the state of labor and the consciousness of the working class. And they like people to be a little afraid. They don't want to be so afraid they're going to burn things down, but they want to be a little afraid and very grateful to have whatever job they can get. And I think, first of all, there's the certainly we've been talking about this. The income supports from government stimulus programs and such have given people some fuck you money. But the other thing is, I think this brush with mass death has made people say, what is really important? Do I really need to go do some stupid job rather than enjoy my life and hang out with my kids or see my friends? I think this caused people to really reevaluate what's important. I was amazed to see Farhad Manjoo, a New York Times columnist, the other day, quoting Kathy Weeks, the scholar who has written books against work. She's an anti-work, comes out of anti-work Marxism, basically.
Okay.
And Manjoo quoted her in this column in which he said he really admired the way people were trying to wrest control of their lives back from the maw of capitalist production or something like that. This is a New York Times columnist writing like that.
Wow.
He's often quite good. But this really took me by surprise that kind of consciousness is really penetrating elite levels. What is the point of running a hedge fund? I mean, you can make lots and lots of money, but you're miserable, alienated, and often hurting people in your work. And I think if people are stepping back and saying, what is this all about? And that's certainly the last thing the capitalist class wants to see people doing. But, from my point of view, it's great development.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do it.